Just take a moment to look around, can you? Just look around at one another. You might not know the people you're sat next to or the people behind you. Don't know how far people have come. I've come down from County Durham myself. Don't know what our walks of life have been, what our backgrounds are, what our upbringing's been like. But we're here because we believe one thing. Whatever else we might believe, we believe in one thing. 10 million too many. Is that right? 10 million too many. Well, my name's, we've just heard some incredible things and some incredible stories of some beautiful families and the things they've gone through, the testimony that they have for life. It's been absolutely beautiful, wonderful to hear. My name's Ciaran Kelly. I'm the Deputy Director at a charity called the Christian Institute. We're a non-denominational Christian charity, and we believe in the Bible. So we believe that it's important to have a Christian influence in a secular world. That's our strapline. And because of that, we're committed to upholding the sanctity of life from conception. No exception. That's where we stand. That's where I come from. And I do want to just say, I just feel really humbled and privileged to be able to stand in front of you guys today and say anything. Can we just show our appreciation to the MCs? They've just been amazing, I think. Thank you, guys. Well, why me? What are you doing stood up there, you might wonder. I have asked myself the same question, believe you me. Well, I mean, my mother, to the best of my knowledge, never considered having an abortion. My wife of 20 years, who's with me more than 20 years, she's never had an abortion. What could I possibly have to say that's of any value to anybody in this room? Well, I've asked myself the same thing, but we'll see how we go. Now, of course, hopefully you all understand you don't have to have had direct experience of something to know that it's bad. Hopefully you all understand that. We can learn from the experiences of others. We've learned from people today. We can embrace the wisdom of the past, the wisdom of the ages. We can have our convictions, our own convictions. Our God-given conscience helps us distinguish right from wrong, doesn't it? I've got a daughter. She's with me today as well. She's coming up 13 in a few weeks, so as you can imagine, it's an interesting time for us as parents, having a soon-to-be teenager. There was a time when we thought we weren't going to be able to have children. So Bethany, she's particularly precious, if you can say that. After her, we lost 2 children in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy. But although we didn't get to meet them, they were no less our children than Bethany. They were no less human because they never saw the light of day. They were no less human because they never took that first breath. And we mourned for them. It was a difficult time. Well, why do I say this? Well, it's for this reason. Somewhere between 550 and 600 children are aborted every day in the UK. Every one of those, every one is a child. Every one is a human being. The children we lost were wanted. These aborted children are no less human because they were not wanted, for whatever reason that was. And as an evangelical Christian, I can stand here unashamedly and say every one of those is made in the image of God. Every one of them had value because of that truth. 10 million lives have been lost through abortion since 1967. We cannot say it loud enough. That is 10 million too many. These were lives that were never given a chance. Whether able-bodied or disabled, whether they would have been born into a life of wealth or poverty, they would have been born into a life. How dare we treat them as less than human? How dare we snuff out that flicker of life? How dare we silence their voice, silence their choice? The Bible says, speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves. Well, the unborn have no voice, so we must be that voice. The person next to you must be that voice. The person behind you must be that voice. You must be that voice. We must be the voice for the voiceless. Let me read something to you. This comes straight from the Westminster government website. I'm quoting in full, but in the interest of time, the figures are only for England and Wales, so you'd have to add on Scotland and Northern Ireland. There were 200,608 abortions for women resident in England and Wales in 2018, and 205,295 abortions, including non-residents. The figure for women resident in England and Wales is an increase of 4% since 2017, and the highest number recorded. Key points in 2019. There were 207,384 abortions for women resident in England and Wales, the highest number since the Abortion Act was introduced. 210,860 abortions were reported in England and Wales in 2020, the highest since records began. 214,869 abortions were reported in England and Wales in 2021, the highest since records began. Do you see the recurring theme? Every year is worse than the year before. Every year is the highest since records began. After 55 years of abortion on demand, the situation is not getting better, it's getting worse. We're not becoming more civilized, but less civilized. Because let's make no mistake, if the mark of a civilized nation is how it treats the most vulnerable in society, how it treats those who cannot look after themselves, who cannot speak for themselves, then we're a long way from where we need to be. And it has to stop. You will no doubt have been buoyed by the recent US Supreme Court ruling overturning Roe v. Wade. It's great news. It's amazing news. Of course it is. But it would be naive to think that returning abortion law to the states, to the state level, is the end of the road over there. Never mind the end of the road over here. It's a significant step. But it's just a step. And you can be quite sure that it has motivated all of those people who hate what March for Life stands for. They've already been using it to make a play, to make abortion even easier over here. At the other end of the spectrum, there may be some who are secretly thinking, can any of this really make any difference? You might say, well, it's not going to change with one march. And you'd be right. It isn't. Let's not kid ourselves. This is going to be a long road. But one day, the UK may begin to see the injustice of abortion as it does the injustice of slavery. Something abhorrent, imposed by the strong upon the weak. In the Apostle Paul's letter to the Galatians, he says this: let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all people. Now, I don't know you, you may not share my faith, but if you're standing up for the unborn, you're doing good. If you're helping women who may truly believe that abortion is the only option that they have, you're doing good. We might not see success from today or tomorrow or next year or the year after, but we're still doing good. To stand up for those who cannot stand up for themselves, who cannot speak for themselves, is to do good. You may be weary, but don't give up. Don't give up. We're already at a stage where there's those who regard the pro-life position as so objectionable, so beyond the pale, that they want our views to be silenced from public debate. Altogether. Don't want to hear from us. They don't want us to have the opportunity to speak. Well, one day they may get their wish, but that day is not today. As we have opportunity, let us do good, the Bible says. Well, London, March for Life UK 2022, we still have that opportunity. Let's make the most of it, shall we? We owe it to those 10 million. What would they say if they were here today? They would tell us, keep on doing good. They would tell us, take a stand for life. They would tell us, write to your MP, persuade, explain, educate others. Be our voice. Be a voice for the voiceless. And march for life. Thank you very much.